How many of you are extremely busy and feel like the fast-paced world we live in is running you ragged? You wish you could just hit pause. Or am I the only one? This generation is overloaded. We are too busy, too much stimulus, too much to do. And we can't get everything done in one day, each day. And then tomorrow comes and piles on and adds other tasks. But in some way, every generation has experienced this overload. It is common to the human race. That may be why they call it the human race. But I tell you what, running this race can be tiring. It's even to the point sometime of weariness, to the point of numbness. You know, Solomon said it this way in Ecclesiastes 1, 8 through 10. All things are weariness, more than one can describe. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, and the ear is not content with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there a case where one can say, look, this is new? It's already existed in the ages before us. Jesus described the numbness his generation felt under the pressures that they languished in Matthew. And before I go forward, you go, what do you mean, Jesus' generation? They didn't have everything on fast pace. They didn't have, whoa. You think that just because you are moving fast and can do things to the point of exhaustion, anything your eye sets to see, you can go after, and everything you hear calling, you can run after. Just because you have a million voices calling you in a million different directions, and a bunch of people saying, you should do, you should do, you should do, doesn't mean that the previous generations didn't have a pressure of their own and say, do you know what, I didn't get everything done today and now tomorrow has come. Can you imagine not having a washer machine, women?
Been there.
There was no, Lord, but your beautiful white hair is a crown of glory on you. Can you imagine not having a tractor to harvest your fields? Had to go out there with a plow? Can you imagine the labor of not turning your faucet on for a drink of water, but having to go to the well and get a bucket down there and make sure that bucket opens up and pulls up enough water and get that and then carry that for all your family back to the home, much less having to boil it before you could ever consume it? You think you might be tired from the weariness of life. Every generation has become numb with the pressures that keep assaulting it. Jesus described this numbness his generation felt in Matthew 11, 15 through 17. And he says to us, he who has ears, let him hear. To what can I compare this generation? He was speaking the generation back then. They are like children sitting in the marketplace and calling out to others, we played a flute for you and you didn't dance. In other words, we played a happy tune and you didn't go out there and kick up a heel. We sang a dirge, the blues, a mournful song, and you didn't mourn. What was going on? I will tell you what was going on. There was a fatigue, a drain because of all that was coming at them to the point of weariness. Have you ever been so busy on the rat race of life and the squirrel cage of life that you had become numb. It was just a matter of one foot and the other. You didn't even know, what am I doing now? I walked upstairs to do something, and now I don't even know what it is. Or the guy who goes out to the tool shed and goes, now, what tool did I need? What am I doing? I am on autopilot because of fatigue. That's what happens. And now what happens in life is that at a certain point, with enough stimuli coming in, enough things going on at once, you become shell-shocked. You become almost like in an accident, the state of shock that shuts down the senses, and you are no longer seeing, no longer hearing. You got ears, but you don't hear. You have eyes, but you don't see. So today I'm going to talk about a call to hit pause. Here is a few reasons why we need to hit pause. When we get overloaded, we lose sight of what is important, or we even may eventually shut down. You know, I am not the brightest bulb on the planet. You just ask my elementary school teachers. They say that guy's light is on, but I knocked on the door and no one was home. It's amazing the things he does in his world. He can draw pictures and he can end up doing all kinds of things, but in this world, no good. He's not home. I'll tell you a part of the reason we are all wired differently. And you have to live between your two ears, and that's a struggle sometimes, right? Each one of us have a personality trait, a way that we process and take in life. And I happen to be on the spectrum of the right side brain, the creative stuff. You go, all these amazing musicians up here, and didn't they do a lovely job this morning of bringing us into his presence? For everything wonderful and glorious about the talented and creative ones, at times, some side of the spectrum, they may not be able to find their car after church. And now go through school that way. And the way that we handle overload in areas we don't feel competent in is it starts getting all noise. At first they were saying 1 + 1 is 2. And you go, okay, 2 + 2 is 4. 4 sounds like the door. I'm going to go out the door. No, get back out of here. 3 + 3 is 6. I'm not going to go much higher because I don't want to look stupid. But I will tell you this, at a certain point, but they didn't stop. They kept on coming, and the class moved forward, and I didn't in my mind. And all of a sudden, my way of dealing with it is shut down. I don't know what you're talking about. I started to stammer, stutter, and froze. You can ask me questions I knew, and I was shell-shocked and stupid and dumb, and they thought I was that way. But I believe society has brought all of us, no matter what your pedigree or brilliance is, your IQ is, from every direction, it has brought us all to a point of numbness and deaf and dumb. And it is the plan of the enemy. It's the plan of the enemy to cut you off from the source of life and get you to focus on nothing or the foot in front of you, which has no meaning. When a person or system is stressed too much stimulus, activity, or demand, it will fail, or at least become vulnerable to attacks. Now, eventually, because of God's grace, I did become quite good at computers and programming and all kinds of stuff because of God's strength in spite of my weakness. But he had to stoop down and he led me quietly into things. He has a way to reach you. But I will tell you that hackers out there understand how to maliciously get into your computer and bring your computer to a point of frozenness and failure. Something through a denial of service, a DOS. It's a classic technique that the hackers use to bring down a system or network, is to overload them with logging attempts and many data requests and repetitive tasks over and over and over. Just barrage it from a million different sources at once. And do you know what a system does? All of a sudden, I open the door for you, 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 I open the door, and then someone sneaks in. You know who's the ultimate terrorist and hacker? The devil. And the devil uses these same tactics to destroy our peace and productivity. Jesus warns us, while we still can hear, to reboot, reset, so that we can process life appropriately. The world's moving faster and faster, and at times chasing what is temporary. If we're not careful, we'll be caught up in a current that will open us up to the vulnerability and attacks of the enemy. Pretty soon, we will be following his pattern of this world, and we aren't even thinking about it. He is clever. Open this door, open this door. All of a sudden, he slips in. But life keeps coming at us so fast. Can we really afford to stop everything in life and just stop? I mean, you've got all these things on your list that you need to get done. Can you afford to stop? You can't afford not to hit pause. All right? And Jesus did regularly. And if Jesus did, we should too. In Luke 5:15 through 16, speaking of Jesus, the news about Jesus had spread all the more, and great crowds had come to hear him, to be healed of their sicknesses. Whoa, that guy was riding high. He was so popular. He was in the groove. He was the top of the heap. Yet, he frequently withdrew to the wilderness to pray. So in the middle of a campaign, he just said, time to pause. Because that is what is necessary. I understand I am in communication with my Father, and there is no way, no priority, nothing will get in the way of what I need to do, because I cannot do anything at all unless I am in connection, plugged into the power source, in sync with what God's doing. And neither can you. Amen. You think you can't afford to stop, you can't afford not to. This is a call to each one of us to regularly, as Jesus said, frequently withdraw and pause. God is telling us we need to hit pause. Now, what does that mean? Psalm 46, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. Also, we want this refreshment from God. Psalm 23, 2 through 3. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. How many feel that in this rat race you need some restoration? All right? Now, these verses sound so idyllic, so peaceful, so lush, right? Be still and know that I'm God. We're standing there at the pools and the sun is perfectly set. It doesn't go any further than where it's at. It stays right there. Night doesn't come. Oh, in the fields of green pasture, it's up to our waist in grass, right? You've never been to Israel. If you had known, green pastures refers to what happens after the cool of the evening and the dew, that the little tiny shoots between the rocks get some moisture. And for a little bit in the morning, some sprigs of grass will break through and these green shoots will come up. That is the green pastures that he leads us to on the cool of the morning. in the middle of struggle, in the middle of pain, the more appropriate way of seeing that verse is this. We're going to read all of Psalm 46. And we're going to read it this time in context. All right? God is our refuge and our strength. The very present now thing. Is that present? Now, present help in time of trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake in its swelling. Oh, that doesn't sound like the idyllic pastor I was saying. Are you sure that "Be still, know that I'm God" is in this psalm? Oh, by the way, it adds in here, because this is a song of David, he adds the word Selah, which means pause. Pause for praise. Pause to think about it. Pause, a musical interlude. But whatever it may be, it's a stop. It is a break in the story. In this flood of thoughts, it is something that needs to be considered. Okay, let's go. Keep on reading. 4 through 7. There is a river, oh, I like this part, whose streams make glad the city of our God. Yeah, I like this. Now we're back to the green pastures. The holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. Oh, God, I want to be there. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her just at the break of dawn. The nations rage, and the kingdoms were moved, and he uttered his voice, and the earth melted. Another version says, like wax, it ran down the mountains. The Lord of hosts is with us. Oh, I was getting scared for a sec. But the Lord is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Pause. God is our refuge. Oh, yeah. Do you ever feel like this psalm? I can tell you what, every generation has the same struggle. There's a force of darkness which is waging against the force of righteousness. And we are at the front lines, but we are on the winning side. And God is our source, our refuge. He is our commander, but sometimes he just says, stop. Let's keep reading. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who hath made the desolation in the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariots in fire. In that context, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Pause. Meditate on God. I guess this is a more appropriate image as a backdrop for "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46, verse 10. That's from the New King James Version. But let's look at translations which have further explored the original meaning of the word. Let's see what the New American Standard translated that "be still and know that I am God" to say. Cease striving and know that I am God. Does that mean quit trying? No. But there's a difference between striving, that's gutting it out with your flesh, instead of saying, I am committed to walk through this in Jesus' name. Let's see what the Holman's Study Bible would translate it. Stop your fighting and know that I am God. Psalm 46, verse 10. At times, the only way forward is to stand still. Exodus 14, 13 through 14 says, and Moses said to the people, They got only the strongest army in the world coming down on them, right? And they had fled Egypt, and they were pretty agitated. Egypt was in ruins because of what God had executed judgment on a nation that was fighting against God's people. And now they were hopping mad, coming down on them. All right? And the Israelites, untrained in being still and letting God fight for them, were very afraid. And Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you will not see again, no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you will hold your peace." Pause, stand still. In Psalm 62, 5-8, we need to speak to our own soul. The same way that Moses spoke to the children of Israel, we need to declare by the Spirit of God, confirming what he said to our own mind between the war between our ears. My soul, wait silently for God alone. You know, when we do stop to meditate, to cease from our labors, do not empty your mind as the world would have you meditate in their various forms of counterfeit, whether it be transcendental meditation or yoga and some of the things that they would have you do, say, and focus on something that is something like an object or something small of insignificance, and just allow your mind to be free. I was thinking about that the other day. When your mind is a vacuum, what do vacuums pick up? Dirt. Okay, you can just keep that one. My soul, wait silently for God alone. Meditate on him. For my expectation is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. Pause. Wait silently. Don't always talk. Sometimes the most powerful prayers use no words. And the most powerful statement is silence. Have you ever looked up at the heavens and seen the immense canopy of stars that goes on and on and on? And in the stillness, the Creator speaks in silence. How profound, how wise is our God. How sacrilegious to even take your phone and light your face with whatever you light your face with, your screen time, as the stars are up above and God in heaven is waiting. Your deliverer, your Messiah, your help in time of need is standing ready to engage you. Why would you run to anything else? Pause. Go to God. There are times when you need to close your eyes to see. The glare of this world can blind us. When we stop and get alone with God, we begin to see things clearer. It is very true for me. It's very true for me. Number 3, reasons to hit pause. In these alone times with his Father, Jesus was shown what to do. Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you don't know what to do? John 5, verse 19, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son, this is Jesus speaking, and he says, listen, listen, listen. Truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself unless it is something he sees his Father doing. For whatever the Father does, these things the Son also does in like manner. Do you need guidance? Spend time with God in His Word. We heard a message just recently on the importance of feeding on the Word of God, for those alone are the words of life. That's God's love letter to you. That's God's instruction. Your opinion needs to fall at the feet of what God says. Whatever your concept of what you think is right needs to fall before the judge of the universe who declares what is right. We are an opinionated society that voices its opinions on every billboard and every post and from every media stream, shouting its thoughts. And we, if we are not careful, will go the way of the world and be influenced by them instead of us influencing them. God needs to influence you so that you can influence the world. You need to be alone with God to be influenced by Him, to be an influence in the world. Spending time alone with God, talking to Him, that's how you are going to receive guidance. That's how you are going to be refreshed. That's how your soul will be restored. Number fourth reason to hit pause, to see clearly from eternity's perspective. You only see one spot as you look around. It's very, very small. You just go up in an airplane and look down and think of that these cities and homes and plots of lands and millions of people live, and think that each one of those is and then how insignificant am I? That I would somehow understand what everybody else needs to do. I would rather have a quiet time with God and have the God of the universe who knows every hair on my head and knows when I sit down, when I stand up, and who takes the nations and sets up rulers and takes rulers down, not tell Him what to do, but just a little bit of silence and listen before Him. And I tell you what, you will be refreshed because He is on your side. He is for you. He loves you and He calls you to come and spend time with Him. It is in these times alone with God that He will reveal to you what He sees. So, eternity's perspective. What does He see? Do you even see the ones you live with? Do you have eyes? Do you hear? Or are you in sort of the blind stupor of overload? Shock, as it were. Do you see the ones you live with? Well, you need to pause and stop and look and listen, and you will begin to really see your wife, your children, your friends, and yes, even the world. It's very, very important for you to understand that the perspective from heaven looks different than your evaluation from earth. You know, I've walked through the day, and I will say that on a regular basis, on any given day, once, maybe twice, sometimes a day might skip, but more likely not. I will see somebody who is inconspicuous to the world, and God will speak to my heart and a prompting to do and engage them in a way that at the end of it they go, wow, this was refreshing. It's almost like God used you, Calvin. Do you know that? They say to me, this was helpful. Well, thank you. Try to give me a hug or something, or can I buy your deal? I said, no. I'm just showing you what I spent in quiet. Do you know how that happens? Because I am alone and in darkness and talk to God and listen to Him. I start to see what He sees. He will whisper to your ears the things that you will see. that you need to know. If nothing else, he will tell you that he loves you and that you do not need to be afraid. You are secure in him. Don't worry about the roar around you. God is here now with you, a helper, your soul restored. If you spend time alone, you will be more productive out there in the world. If you spend time alone with God, pause is not enough. It's pause with a cause to look to God and say, I need you. I am thirsty. Fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up. Oh, my soul thirsts for you like the deer in the pants for after you. Lord, your word says that if I seek you, I will find you. I'm here knocking, oh God. You are awesome. And he reveals his face. He is not like a cheap woman or man who ends up, you say one flattering comment, you sing one praise song to him, and all of a sudden, all the blessings of heaven are poured out on you. He is not responsive that way. He wants fidelity. He wants the alone time, because love means time. Are you willing to spend time with your Maker, or have you no time because you will not obey his call to pause and stop? You see what you look at. Every one of you, take your hand and put it in front of your face with your fingers spread between me and your face. I want you now, with it about 1.5 feet, depending on your age, in front of you, look at the creases in your hand. Examine your hand. Let the eyes focus. Yep. You're seeing your hand. Can you see your hand? Right? Now, I want you to look at me through your hand, through those fingers. Spread fingers. Can you see me? Yes, as through a glass dimly, but you can see me. And now look at your hand. You can't see me. Now look at me. You can't see your hand. You see what you look at. A while back, I did a picture. Back when I was in my 20s. I painted a mountain. Not painted, I illustrated, drew a mountain. And I wrote underneath it, before the mountains were brought forth, thou art God. I want you to look very carefully. What do you see? Do you just see a mountain? Do you just see life as everyone else sees? But when God opens your eyes, the same as this illustration, if you will look up here, you will see that there is a J-E-S-U-S in the mountain. J-E-S-U-S. Do you see it now? Does everyone see it? Jesus. You know, in nature, even when our eyes are open, we start to see God everywhere. We need to have our eyes open to see. The fourth reason to hit pause is to refocus on what is really important, and that is relationships, and that's why we work. That's why you're in this squirrel cage of life, running and getting the tools to fix it for mama. While you're up and down the stairs, untold times, putting away clothes and all those precious little deductions that you have. Why we run this rat race, and it's common to every generation. There's a reason we do it. We say we do it because of our family. But we are not stopping to enjoy what God has given us right now. Like God is ever-present help in time of trouble. We can stop and pause for him. But have you stopped and paused for what's important, what you say you're working for? And that's relationships. I challenge you to start with your family. Do you really see them? Or are you just walking by them? Are you just folding their clothes and putting food in front of them on the table and never stopping to see them? When your husband or wife comes home, or if you have a husband or wife, your friends, the people that you live with, when they come by, are you just running on the squirrel cage with them and say, come on, run with me, we got things to do? Or are you really stopping and say, hi? What would happen if when your husband or wife or your friend, your roommate or family member came over, when they came to the door, you actually walked up to him and go, hi, how are you doing? Why? Did something happen? Did I forget to do something? No. How are you doing? See them. And do you know who told me this? The one I was quiet with God. Because when we begin to see them, God tells us how to love them, how to engage with them. Your children want you to see them, parents. Parents, children, your parents want to see you. They want to know you because that's why they're working. They aren't avoiding you at work. They're working for you. But please, for God's sake, make sure that you stop enough to be able to enjoy the purpose and the reason you say you're doing this. Otherwise, you will be robbed of the relationships that God has called us to. I challenge you to pause and take time to focus on and engage with and make an impact on others in this human race. I'll end with a story about the good part of stopping and spending time with Jesus. Luke 10:38, verse 42. Now they were traveling along, and he, this Jesus, entered a village. He and his disciples, apparently, because it says they. But Jesus is apparently the only one who was going to stop at this place. Oh, there's some friends of mine. I'm going to stop in. Whoa, yeah, I like Mary and Martha's house. They're just awesome. And a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who was seated at the Lord's feet listening to his word. But Martha, getting ready for the supper, she had a guest in the house. We got to quickly get this all together. We got things to do, important things to do. But Martha was distracted with her preparations. And she came to him, that is the Lord, and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving alone? Then tell her to help me. But the Lord answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you're worried and bothered about so many things, but only one thing is necessary. For Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken from her. Hit pause. Take the time to develop a relationship with God and others. That is the good part. That is worth a pause. Pause and refocus on what matters. Can I give you a glimpse into my quiet time with a song that I wrote? Amen. Peace comes to me like a friend who gently puts their hand in mine, and peace comes to me, covering the frenzy of the day. I try so hard to be relaxed, but my mind storms with a flood of facts about my day I always reenact. Usually it's late at night and I'm sitting all alone. The light throws a spray of shadows on the wall. The furnace hums a simple tune, quickly lost in the quiet room. I'm waiting for the words you have to say, waiting for the postlude to my day. Peace comes to me like a friend who gently puts their hand in mine. Peace comes to me, covering the frenzy of the day. The hush is the perfect prelude to your voice that tells me I am yours and I did fine. And that is why I wait to end my day till Jesus gives his gift of peace of mind. Till Jesus gives his gift of peace of mind. Till Jesus gives his gift of peace of mind.
I hope you've enjoyed this. To hear other messages by Calvin Bergsma, go to facebook.com/GCF Church or youtube.com/GCF Messages.
You may also follow Georgetown Christian Fellowship with our app. Go to either iOS or the Play Store for Android and search for Word Server. That's one word, Word Server, and install the free application. There you will get all of our messages, including streaming capability.